if that worked out, it would be really nice. And then I'd have a camera that we can actually work on the 3 boards. One projector and a couple of boards to write on. Today I want to cover, I'm going to use the board itself for a few minutes here. I want to cover a couple of new things. But what I'll do is, instead of writing programming on the board, I'll just show you what to expect the program to do. And then I'll run the programs, so one at a time, and I'll show you what they do. And then I'll put up I'll project the code, and then I'll talk about how how it deals with it. Let's try that to see if that works. The other ways didn't seem to work very good to me. Okay, so to begin with, the first program I have is I gave you a program, a demonstration program last week, which had a line here, and a line here, and a line here, and there was a word here, a word here, and a word here, and you'd pick up a tool, and then you'd drop a grass or something into the main field. Okay. Well, today's programs actually are simplified. The 2 first programs are simplified versions of that. And I did it because if someone's going to make a toolbox, one of the problems always is if their toolbox has a different number of tools in it than you have in the demonstration, how do they get from your number to the next number? So if I have one that shows 2 tools, one that shows 3, you can see the differences, and you can sort of see what you have to do to use 4 or 5 or half a dozen or whatever. But the one I'm going to do today, it's the same program twice. It's actually using it for 2 different flowers. What it does is it has a line here and a split line here, and then it has like green here and red here. And what it does is these are grapes, 3 little grapes. And what you do is you click in the green, and when you click here, the green grapes show up. And if you click in the red grapes show up. So it's essentially the same thing as the toolbox one we do with the flowers, okay? But it's it's simpler because it has one less thing to drag around. But the whole idea of the thing is that you always, when a person presses a mouse down on the canvas, you want to know where they press it, because if they're pressing it below this line here, then they're really pressing the mouse into the area where they draw the thing. If they press the mouse up into the toolbox, then you're just picking up a tool. You don't want to draw a tool. You don't want to draw anything. So you have to set your program up so that when they press the mouse, it has to figure out, am I here, or am I here? That's the basic things we have to figure out, okay? And once you figure it out, then if you're here, you just you just change tools. If you're here, you just change tools. You make sure you get the red grapes. And then when you're here, you just drop the picture off. Whatever tool you got, you drop that picture off. And so that's the main strategy of using a toolbox. And there's two programs in a row that do that. Then I have one that actually has both. The first one, sorry, I've got this little mixed up here. The first one actually allows you to drop green. The second one allows you to drop red. And the third one puts them both together, like I just showed you on the board. That's the third program. That's all just one general description. The second program, now see we're in the canvas here, and I want to be sure that we do canvas stuff a little bit. The next program is a little bit different. Basically you have this canvas here, and you have a button below here that says, I think it says start or something like that, whatever, it says something. And basically when you press that button, what happens is a circle appears, and the circle starts to move. It starts to bounce off the different walls. It just keeps moving around, bouncing off these walls. And every time it bounces off a wall, it goes, like makes a little noise. So that's what the second idea is. And what I'm trying to get across in this one is how you animate something like that inside the canvas. And it's a very simple animation. In fact, I should describe it to you now. It's the best time to describe it. What happens is when you have anything moving, or whatever it is, whatever vector it has sideways and it has perpendicular. It has 2 things going on. It's moving a certain speed this way and a certain speed that way, and it looks like it's moving this way, the in between.
It's doing like stairs?
Yeah, like this. It's going this way a bit, so therefore it looks like it's going that way, because it's going. It's like you know, if you had like a television screen perfectly like that, it has the jaggies. They're going this way and that way, but the whole line is going that way in the end. And this is the same thing. It's just this, they call it the vector sum. This vector is pulling down, and this vector is pulling right, and between the two, this is what you get. That's the actual motion. That's the direction it's actually moving in. And what happens is, because it's got a down vector and a sideways vector, all I'm doing is, I want to know when it hits right here, I want to make it change directions. I have to do that artificially. It's not going to do it on its own. It's going to keep moving until you tell it to do something. So what I do is, I keep watching this vector and this vector. They're both acting on the circle. They're saying, go down a little bit, go right a little bit, go down a little bit, go right a little bit, like that. It's saying, and I keep looking at where they are they at, okay? When this one reaches 500 down at the bottom of the screen here, when that one reaches 500, which would be over here, because that's where it looks like it is, but that's where the vertical direction is. 500. When it hits 500, what I do is I just reverse the signs. So instead of moving it downward, I reverse the sign and now make it move upward. In other words, if it's a negative, I make it a positive, just by multiplying whatever amount that I'm moving down this way, I multiply it by -1, and it flips it. So then it starts moving in an upward direction. And if it goes off this wall over here, if it bounces off that wall for whatever reason, then what I do is I check for 500 in the x direction, and if it gets to 500, I simply reverse that one. So now the vector's going this way. So essentially what I do is I have these two vectors, the x and y, and I'm constantly watching them, and whenever they reverse, I just multiply by -1, and the ball moves correctly in the other direction. And so that's how you have it bouncing off the walls correctly. And also at the same time as it bounces, I have this little audio noise that goes beep like that. Whenever you hit the point where you're going to reverse directions, I also say beep so you can hear it hitting the wall. And that's what that program does. It's kind of a, it's just a bouncy program, but it's on. These are all in today's listings, by the way, you can find. The next one is a very interesting program because it's tic-tac-toe. And it works like this. I simply draw in the, tic-tac-toe thing with the lines, and I also put numbers into it. Let's see, I put like, I think it was 11, probably like 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. I think that's the number arrangement. It might be different than this. I think that's the arrangement it is on. So basically what happens is, it's a verbal program. So I've got the speech recognition operational. So I say, I have, there's two different things you can do. You can be either X or you can be O, X or O. So I call it black and white. So black is equal to X and white is equal to O. And what the person says is, what they say is, I am X, they'll say X 12. And that means put their thing on 12. And what will happen is it'll put an X there. And the other guy will say white 16. So it'll take a white circle and it'll put it over here at 16. So in other words, whatever you say, if you say black, a number, it'll put your mark in there. If you say white, a number, it'll put your mark in there. And that program is, again, all it is just a, we could have done this actually on a regular web page if we wanted to, but I did it in, I wrote the thing originally in Canvas, and it uses Canvas, the Canvas kind of notation, so that's the only difference. Because when you draw things in Canvas, you have to say, draw this and draw that. You have to tell it what to do. And so the instructions to actually draw the X and draw the O have to be done like that. Anyway, so that's what that program does. It simply does allows you to play tic-tac-toe. And then you say erase, and it erases it all and starts over. It doesn't erase all the lines, it just erases the X's and O's, and you can start over. That program is kind of complicated simply because there's a lot of positions, and it doesn't tell you when you won, by the way. You have to observe that yourself. There are a lot of different kinds of tic-tac-toe programs out there. Some of them actually you can play the game, and it will eventually beat you. You can play it, it learns what your moves are, and it finally learns how to beat you, and it figures that out. So it either draws or beats you. But those are the things that are beyond us right now. The last program is probably, it's the beginning of what we're going to cover partly next week, is I call it P2P, person to person is what they normally call it, and it's a video program. And what it does is it allows you to do video conferencing, audio video between people. It's very short. You'll be amazed when you see how short the program is. But of course it's using code that's written in the include files. All the code is up there that's doing everything. But what's cool is you can actually go online, and the way it looks is this. You got the screen, and then it has a little open area right here that you type into, and it has a button that says go. And what happens is you type in whatever word you're matching with the person you're working with. For example, you say banana. So if you say banana, if you write banana in here, and you say go, it'll put you, all of a sudden your webcam will show you yourself right here. You'll see your own webcam. And if anyone else goes online anywhere in the world and they run the same program and they say banana, you'll see their thing will come on here. 3 people, 4 people, 5 people. It takes quite a few. It's got some things in it that we can't really digest because you can see clearly how the first images and the second images occur. But when it starts getting into multiple images, they've got all that behind the scenes. But essentially what they're doing is the same thing. They're saying put another video up, put another video up. And they're streaming. They're doing all the streaming for us. There's a company called, it's not a company, it's a private group. They're called peerjs.com. And they actually, I don't know where they get their money from. They probably also program for people. But basically, they have a way for you to use their system to communicate. You don't have to, no, you can make the, I want to say one other thing. This is not like Skype where you're stuck with what they give you. You write your own web page still, and you just throw this into it wherever you want, just like you put in a webcam. You have total control over it. So therefore, this company has the codes, and I've taken some of their code, and I've actually taken it and put it into one of those include files, which you could copy. You can copy both. I got 2 include files. You can copy both of those, and your program will work too. Now, I have to remind you, this will not work in Google's Chrome because they have a security thing. You need a secure socket layer to do it, but you can run it in Firefox. It works in Firefox. So just since it's on our web page, just run our web page in Firefox. When you get down to that one, hit it, and it will take you off to. It'll run for you. Everything will run okay. So that's it. These are the programs I want to just cover today because there's some things in them that we can talk about that are very interesting. They're different than we've done before. Okay? If you have any questions during when I'm talking like this, let me know. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the camera on. I'm going to put the projector on here and see if I can keep it in the range so that people at home can actually see what's going on. Okay, I'm going to try to keep the image within the camera's scope so we can be sure to see it. Okay, the first one, I'll get the first one here. Okay, this is the first program, and all it does is, I can just simply click the mouse, and it drops off 3 grapes. Wherever I click it, it'll drop off 3 grapes, so you can put a bunch of mice through. It doesn't really do anything other than that. Just simply click the mouse, and it drops off this picture, whatever the picture is. And the picture, by the way, if you want to have it so that it can be done like this rather than having a white space, make sure they're ping files, and it's transparent around the edges. And, or you can erase the thing. I want to show you that. So notice that all you can do is this is all a simple program does, is to drop these off. There's another program, I'm going to put them both on at the same time because they're both really the same, is 6, I think. See if that does it. Yeah, this is the same program. It makes you want to run down a Safeway and get some grapes, so they do look pretty cool. This program just uses a different grape. It's the same program that uses different grapes. That's the only difference. So I can show you either program. They're both going to be essentially the same. Okay? And that's I'm going to do first. I'm going to show you that first. So let me get to the view the source here, source code. Okay, I'll bring it up a little bit. Can everybody see that? Get rid of this thing. Everybody see it okay? I think that's right on the edge. Okay. To start with this program here, I want to look at the bottom of it too, because that's always the place to start, because that's where the page is, and that's the part that I've got down here, which I want to see. So everything in the body, everything from the body down is actually this. It's important that you have startup because we're using the mouse. And when you use a mouse, you have to have the mouse include. I'm using a mouse canvas in this case because we're drawing on a canvas. So instead of just using mouse.js, you use mousecanvas.js. It's mouse built into the canvas. I'll tell you why there's a difference. Because the mouse normally returns where are you on the entire window. It gives you 2 numbers. Where are you when you click, right? This one will only give you numbers inside of the range of the canvas. So in other words, it tells you with respect to the left side of the canvas and the right side. In this case right here, I've set the width of the canvas at 500 and 500. So therefore, the left is going to be 0, the right's going to be 500, the top's going to be 0, the bottom's going to be 500. That's what this does right here. So I took the canvas, I gave it the name canvas, I called it canvas. When using mouse canvas, that's the name to use. You don't change that, that's not changeable, okay? Keep the same name. And the width is, and the reason why is because it has to find out, in order to know which canvas it's working on, it has to have the ID, and it wouldn't know that in advance. So therefore, you have to have this, it has to agree with that one. You know, that's the only way I could have made it automatic like that. It would have been impossible. So you get 500 and 500, and again, the background color of the canvas itself is being changed here. So this block right here has that background color right there. It's sort of a gray. It's some kind of a gray because all the characters are the same. So it's the same amount of red, green, and blue, which means you get some gray, bright or dark or something. And then slash canvas says that's it. So that line right there is an important one. And this startup line right here, on load startup, is important because you're using the mouse. And when you're using the mouse, you have to prep the mouse canvas to actually say, we're going to use the mouse. Okay, because we're going to click the mouse down, and that's where the picture's going to go. So it has to know where the mouse is. And so that part right there is kind of the deal. This one down here is another thing. Down here I have a button, and all this button does is an erase button. It shows you just hit it and it'll erase the screen. That's all it does. And the most important part of this is this right here, erase canvas, open and shut. That's a function that's up in the mouse canvas. It's up there. So in other words, that goes immediately. That doesn't go to any of your programs. That goes right up to the mouse canvas and says erase the screen and erase it totally. Now, many times you don't want to erase the screen totally because it's going to have lines on it. You want it to still be there. So you wouldn't want to go directly from a click up to that and erase everything because everything would be gone. If you're like the tic-tac-toe program, everything would be gone. So you want, in this case though, because we're putting pictures down, nothing else, when we erase, we want to erase the whole thing. There's nothing there to remain. So we go straight to erase canvas, which is a built-in function that erases the canvas. Okay? Let me move it down a little bit so that the people up in the other parts of the universe could see this thing up here. Ooh, that's awful. This part of the program right here, up in the head, is the other things that we should talk about. There's the mouse canvas. It has to be an include file like we normally use, okay? That isn't anything. I just gave it a name so if you're listing it, you can see the name of the thing, nothing else. Now, you'll notice what happens is the only function I have here is the mouse up function. I could have used mouse down, but I used mouse up. And basically all that says is when the mouse goes up, it's going to come to this function because it's waiting for the mouse to do something. So when it goes down, it knows where you went down, and when you go up, it knows where you went up. So now when you go up, it's going to know where you went up. So it's going to say, okay, I know where you went up. You went up at mouse underscore x2 and at mouse underscore y2. That's where you are. That's the two pieces of information it gives you. So you come down into here, and it says draw the picture. That's a command that we have in last class. I gave you the list of them. I think that was one of them. Maybe it wasn't one of them. I hope it was. See, you got that list here? I'll have to add that in if it is.
We could draw line, not draw picture.
There's no draw picture there? Okay, I'll have to add that. Thanks. I didn't know.
But I don't have a list. This is just what you covered in class.
I did cover it in class, but I want to be sure that have draw. If it's not on that list, I should put it on the list. Okay, I'll put it on the list. So draw a picture. What that does is that's kind of cool. You would be surprised. It takes about 6 instructions to make this happen behind the scenes, just to get the thing to know it's going to draw a picture. And so I said, okay, you guys want to deal with all that stuff. So I threw it all up there. It's all up on most cameras. And all you have to do is simply say, draw a picture, give it the actual name of the picture, whether it's a JPEG or whatever it is, with quotes. It's got to have quotes around it. That's the name of the picture. And then you say where you want the picture X and where you want the picture Y. Now don't forget, the pictures, as I'm always pointing out endlessly, but I might be confusing it because of that. The picture's corner right here is actually where the picture is on the page. But your mouse is down here. You want to have the mouse in the middle, see? So basically what you're saying is, draw the picture wherever your mouse is, mine is 76 in the X direction. So if you click down here, it's going to go over here. And then in the Y direction, mine is 80, so it's going to go up here. So basically what it does is, it puts the corner of the picture in the correct position so that you will be in the middle with your mouse, which is what you want. Yeah.
So do those numbers depend on like how many pixels?
How big the picture is? Yeah.
Okay.
Now it actually is more complicated than that. If your mouse position, if you have a range of 50 pixels around it, a hit range of 60 pixels, something like that.
So if it was like 50 by 50 pixels.
What?
So if the image was like 50 by 50.
Yeah, right. Or 100 by 100 or whatever it is. It does change that. The golden rule I use, which is approximate to tell you the truth, is to say this would be half the width of the picture, and this would be half the height of the picture. Those numbers would be. And that's not perfect because your mouse doesn't hit right in the middle. You might hit the thing right here, in which case there's going to be a little bit of a jiggle about where the thing goes. This is not a perfect system. I could make it perfect, but you'd have to do a lot of arithmetic, so I said, let's not do that. Let's just say, if you can make the picture appear by clicking, it'll appear, and that's what you want to do. It's just, a simplified version of a thing. What you really have to know is where the mouse is with respect to the upper corner. That's what you really have to know, where it's going to go. And it's kind of a tricky business. But this one does the job for this program. This program will work fine. Because you aren't hitting the middle of any. When you put the mouse down, you're saying this is the middle. So it automatically, 76, 80 will put you in the right position. Other programs, that isn't true. Some programs, it's quite, your mouse is going to a position, you have to know where it is. We don't in this one. Okay, so it has that functions built in. This kind of function, both of these guys are here because of that. That says they're both here. And you just use them. And it does the job. When you say draw a picture, this picture in these, it'll just appear. It just comes up. That's all there is to it. And it stops. Next time you push the mouse down and let it up, it'll draw a picture in a new place, wherever the mouse is. Both programs are exactly the same. They just have a different, picture, that's all. In here it would say, the other one says grapes.ping, this one says redgrapes.ping. So both first programs are actually the same. Okay? Let me go to the program that puts them both together, where you have to actually have a toolbox to access them. It's here, hang on. Back up. Oops, too far. Back to. Oh, I must have just put them. Okay, I'll just type it in. whoops, 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 not that way. There's never, there it is. Let's bring it down first so we can see it. So this is the program within the range that people can see at home. And the way it works is that if you grab the green grapes by clicking in here, it picks up the green grapes. When you drop them off, you get green grapes. If you go in here to the red grapes and click once, it picks up the red grapes, and then you got the red grapes running here, okay? So that's what the program does. And the question is, what does the program look like? So, see if I can get it up here. There it is. Let me go down to the bottom to the startup part, and I'll do this like I did before. Okay, make it a little bit bigger. Okay, this is the, down here is the body, and the body is where you always get these things started. Okay, to begin with this program, it has, again, the same onload because it's using the same mouse canvas thing. It has that. And it's using Erase It. Now, here's why it's using Erase It. That's not an automatic program. I wrote that. That's the thing that I had to write. And it's actually right up right here. Programs, that section's right, that function's right here. And I'll explain it to you. What happens is, when the program starts, you have to initiate the mouse. You have to say, mouse, listen to me, so when I click, you'll know where I am. That's what you're doing when you say this. When you're saying this right here is, it jumps right up to there, and it actually does this function. It does whatever that function tells it to do. Well, the first thing it does is it says, erase the canvas, officially make the canvas completely blank if there's anything there. And then it says, draw a line from 050 to 550, which is the line that goes all the way across. 050, it's at 50Y, and it's drawn all the way across the thing. That's the bottom of the toolbox. And then it says, draw another line at 250, 0. That's 250 this way, and it's 0 up here. And at 250, 50. So it's drawing a center line. So what you did, first of all, you drew this line here. Then you drew a line that goes like that. That divides these two areas. And then you put the word green grapes in the first area, and you put the words red grapes in the other area. That's all I'm doing, is I'm putting these words in those areas. So that's what gives us the toolbox. We now have the toolbox. And remember, the toolbox is down here at 50. If you go above 50 with your mouse during the program, it's going to be in the toolbox. If it's below 50 over here, it's going to be drawing the things, whatever you've got, okay? So that's how it starts. You immediately start off by erasing the thing, and then that's text align, which we use in everything. And finally, you have the canvas again. Again, it's 500 by 500, and its background color is some weird color. I don't know, like a greenish aqua or something. And I got this color, by the way, off the web. What you do is, if you want to get colors for canvas, all you have to do is say, give us HTML colors, and it gives you a list of them. You can pick the one you want. So that's pretty good. Otherwise, you have to invent it yourself, and it's hard to do that. Okay, so you get that. Then you have an extra button down here, which appears on your screen. There's the canvas, and then there's a little button down below it that I showed you. And that just simply says, go to erase it. Now notice, it doesn't go to erase canvas, which we did last time. Erase canvas just goes up and erases the whole screen. This one has to go to this routine right here. And the reason why is because you want to put the toolbox back in position. No, zero position to you is with the toolbox. You don't want it just a blank screen. You want that toolbox still to be there in this program. So when you say erase it, what it does is it erases the canvas, gets everything out of there. All your pictures you've been dropping all over the place are gone. And then it says, okay, draw a new line 50 and a new line 250 in the middle, and put the words in again. So that part will still be there. That way you're erasing only the part that you've drawn grapes over. Okay, that's the only part that's erased. So therefore, that's how this whole first thing works over here. Let me, I can see that up above there, I've got one function, but let me bring it down so I can get more of them in view, see if everything's visible here.
I've got a question.
Go ahead.
So normally in the body line,
Yeah.
when you write body on load, normally we have the L capitalized, but for some reason,
A body unload, did it have it small there?
yeah. And I checked the code and like nothing seems to be wrong with it. So like it
It
seems to
works.
work just fine, but I don't understand like why does
It's
that
one of
affect?
those things that they've allowed to slip and they've said it's okay now.
It's weird.
Well, a lot of these things have the official instruction says, if you have two words in JavaScript that are required to do something like an HTML code, you have background color, for example. You can't put background minus color because the minus sign in JavaScript says, oh, that's subtracting. It doesn't know what to do with it. So what they do is they put background, and then in bold, right next to it, they put C-O-L-O-R. So in other words, the uppercase, not bold, but uppercase C. So what they do is they take the contractions out and they move them together and they make uppercase letters. And what happened was people were so sloppy in their writing code that they weren't doing it the way they were told to do it. And the code wasn't working and they were spending a lot of time debugging. So the authors just said, oh, okay, we'll allow lowercase too. That's what really happened. They basically wanted it to be uppercase to follow some kind of rule, but then the rule just sort of disappeared after a while. Now what I worry about with that, the worrisome thing about that is, what if you used a variable name whose name was background color? Now it's going to get mixed up with that thing, see? There's going to be confusion about what you're talking about here. And that's where I get a little bit nervous about them giving into that kind of mistake. They should have held fast, but they didn't. I mean, they run the thing, I don't, so I can't say anything about it. There are things like that you'll see. Text-align is another one. Text-align is, if you wanted to say that up above, you have to say text, no hyphen, you close it and you say capital A align. See, that's how they do it. They use that capital letter as the way out of it. That's when you're going from HTML to JavaScript to do the same thing. Anyway, that's the answer, the best answer I can think of. Basically, the mob rules again. The hoi polloi is down on us. Okay, let's go back to the upper part of the program here. I think I'm not sure if anybody can get that in. I'm going to have to bring it down a little bit. Yeah. Okay, now it's good. Except I got to slide up. Okay. Now this is the beginning of the program. I just want to go through everything at the top to be sure everyone's got everything they need. The first thing is, that's the title, like blah blah. This thing right here is essential. That's the mouse canvas. You got to have that because we're working with the mouse and we're working with the canvas. Then I did the usual script language, JavaScript, and now I created this variable here, green or red equals 1. Okay, and it's an artificiality. You do it. Everyone does it. It's a flag. When I say green or red equals 1, I've defined it in my brain that 1 means green grapes and 2 means red grapes. So no, it's this thing right here. Whatever this value is right here tells you when you go to drop something on the screen, is it going to be green or red? The programmer has to know that 1 is green and 2 is red. You have to know that. So therefore, this is the thing here that sort of keeps track of whether you're green or red. And what happens is, when you go up into the toolbox and click, this is the thing that changes. So if I click in to the green grapes, it'll give me a 1 in here. If I click to the red grapes, it's supposed to put a 2 in here. So that's the idea. So wherever I click, so now the problem becomes for the programmer, okay, you have this screen and you have this toolbox up here with 2 possible positions. And what you say is, if I click in this position over here, turn this into a 1. If I click in this position over here, turn this into a 2. Okay? Now, supposing I didn't go into either one of those positions. Supposing instead of clicking into either one of these positions, I click down in here. Well, what happens then is, it draws the picture that it had, whatever it knows. If it's 1, it draws green. If it's 2, it draws the red. So what happens, though, is, in the same routine, you say, am I in the green box? Am I in the red box? Then I must be out in the open. Just draw. In other words, you're either grabbing a tool or you're drawing when you click down. So it says, are you trying to grab a green tool? Are you trying to grab a red tool? Or just draw? If you're not doing either one of those, just draw the picture. Okay? So there's going to be 3 tests in a row. The first one's going to say, are you turning this to a green grape? Second test is, are you turning it to a red grape? And if you're not doing either one of those things, it says draw whatever you got. Because you're not, obviously, you're clicking someplace outside of the range. Okay, so that's what happens here in this, when mouse up happens. When mouse up happens, you have to find out, where am I on that little screen? Am I in the toolbox or am I not? See if I can get that up to the good position for the people at home to see. Try to get it up there. Yeah.
looks like you can see it on the camera.
Looks like what, you can get it?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Did I get the function mouse up? This thing right here?
Yes.
Okay, good. You be the cameraman. And the best boy, and all those things there are. Okay, so here's this routine that goes from function mouse up all the way down to here. This is the function right here that actually makes the distinction between are you clicking in the toolbox or are you drawing the picture? What are you doing? So it starts off, as soon as the mouse goes up, it says, where is the mouse? Well, if the mouse is less than 50 in the Y direction, it means that you're above that line. You're up in there. Okay, you're in the toolbox. And it says, and the mouse is less than X is less than 250. It means you're on this side. It means you're in the green area. So this test right here, it says if you're this and this, if you're in this position, you're sort of over here in the green toolbox. And then what you do is you say green or red equals 1, which says put the green. I am now a green, I'm going to drop a green thing. So you get that, and then you return. Then you get out of the program. You get out of this function. You're finished. Okay? If that fails, it goes down here and says, well, are you less than 50 and greater than 250, which means you're in this side of the toolbox over here, which is the red grapes. And if you are, put a 2 in here. So now you can see what happens. This one would have put a 1. This one would put a 2. So now that variable that we have, green or red, contains either a 1 or 2 at this point. Okay? Now, so it gets out of it. Supposing it fails this test and this test, and then what happens is if it doesn't return for either one of those, then it must be drawing in the main area. So what you do then is you say, okay, draw a grape. Because you're in the main area now, you can draw a grape. So you go to this drop grapes routine, which is down here. In other words, if it's not in the upper left or the upper right, then it must be in the main area. Let's go to drop grapes and see what happens down there. What we're going to do is draw whatever grape we have in our tool. Okay? And so what happens then is right here, drop grapes. I guess that's all there. Good. So what happens is this. From this function, we jump over to this new function, which is called drop grapes. And what we do is we say, well, if green or red equals 1, draw the grapes ping, which is the green grapes. Just draw wherever the mouse is, draw the green grapes. If the green or red equals 2, that means we have the red grapes. Then you draw a picture, draw the red grapes in the position that you're in. And that's all there is to it. So in other words, whatever, this one changes it to a 1, this one changes to a 2, this one says just draw whatever you have, and it draws whatever it has. It looks at 1 or 2 to see what you are. Does that make sense to you? It's kind of like a little program that's got a couple of tests in it that are worth looking at. And that's it. That's how this program works. There's only 3 big parts to it. This is separation of which is which. Then there's this one here that draws the stuff, and then there's the erase part. And that's all there really is to the program. But if you look at it, maybe what I've talked about will help a little bit. We'll see what happens. Okay? Let me go to the next program, which is the bouncing ball. Get the bouncing ball on the screen here. Spell it right, I guess. There we go. Yeah, there it is. Let's see. Here we go here.
Oh, it's because it says view source at the top.
Well, it is the source, yeah, I'm in the wrong place. It should be over here. Okay, I gotta kill this. That's what happened. I went to the source originally. Sorry. I'm not paying attention to what I'm doing here. Okay. Okay, here's the bouncer program, and I'll just run it just to be sure we know what it does. You hit the start button, and this red circle appears, and it starts bouncing around. Okay. Now, what it does is, if you look at it, all it simply does is when it gets to the leftmost wall, it reverses the X direction. When it gets to the downmost wall, it reverses the y direction. All it simply does is multiply -1 by its velocity, because its velocity is going a plus or a minus, and by hitting it with a -1, it goes in the opposite, it changes directions. And there's nothing else going on there, except you got an x because the y is changing. And it's taking pictures, it's going through an animation. Now, that's the part that's going to be interesting we should talk about. But you see how the thing works, right? It's kind of a simple idea. It makes a noise and it bounces, that's all it does. So, let's go Command U here. Yeah. Oh, thankfully it stopped making noise when I did that. I was sure it was going to stop. Okay, we get this. Let's go down the bottom. Okay, again, we're at the bottom of the thing. Let's look at that to see what we need to make this program run. The body's right here, an on-load startup, because actually in this program we don't use the mouse or anything. You don't even need that. That wouldn't even been necessary in this program. But I sort of a knee-jerk programmer. When I bring in one of those includes, and I know what it has to have, I always think, what if later on in the program I change something? And if I don't have this running, I may forget it. So basically I say, okay, let's run it. It's not going to hurt anything. What that did is, it made it sensitive to any mouse activity you may have had too. But you're not doing anything with that, so it doesn't make any difference. But that's just sort of my own way I do things. Okay, the second thing down is you got the canvas, same thing, canvas, 500 by 500, same thing, background color, gray again, and that's all that's happening. You got a big gray screen. And then down here you have start bounce is the name of the thing. I should have called that, should have given that ID instead of name. In your programs you should probably use ID in here. The start bounce should have an ID. There's a reason for that. ID and name are used slightly differently, and ID is the one we've been using, so we should stick with it. Type is button, value is start bounce, on click goes to bounce. Okay, so basically what happens is, we want the thing to start bouncing. It isn't even on the screen, there's nothing on the screen. And as soon as we hit the word, this click that says bounce, start bounce, it starts the program. It goes up into bounce up here. And I think that's actually visible on the camera. Is it? Is that bounce? Can you see it there? This?
I believe so.
Yeah, I think it's on. I think it's visible. Okay. So what happens now is you just click the button that says bounce. It goes up at a bounce, and it starts right off doing some very arithmetical stuff. Don't ever get confounded by the arithmetic, because if you are going to solve a problem, you're going to use your own variables, and you're going to use the arithmetic the way that makes sense to you, okay? In my case, I do it a certain way. It's not going to be the same way as you would do it. But think of it this way. In order to get something to move a little bit by little bit, you've got to add something to its x direction. You've got to add something to its y direction. So every time it goes through this loop here, it has to keep doing that. The loop is the part that I want to talk about. You see this thing down here, request animation frame bounce? That you've never seen before. That's the same thing as when we were previously we were setting the timing to do every 30 milliseconds. Remember that? We had this looping thing. This actually is the same thing, except for one difference. Oh, well, a couple differences, but this difference here is the important one. What this thing does is, this is the official instruction they invented just for animations. It's like they aren't worried about 30 milliseconds or 20 milliseconds or whatever. They're just saying, whenever this thing is ready to reanimate, we'll let it do it. So here's what happens. Just forget what's in the guts here. What happens, starts in here, and it goes down and it hits this instruction. And what this instruction says is, when all of this stuff is completed and the thing is on the screen, then go back and start it over again so you can build the next image. And then when it's all finished and do the next image. So what it does is like the fastest possible thing it can do. It's moving as fast as it can. Okay? And the thing is, the only thing that makes the difference about how fast it moves on the screen is how far a distance you decide to make it move per frame. Because these frames here are out of your control. You're not controlling how fast they go. They're as fast as they can possibly go. And so what happens is you're moving a little bit of different distance. And if you look up there, you can't. The people at home can't see this, but dx is a variable called dx. It's right here. Okay, has a value of 1. That means that every time frame is moving 1 pixel. Every time frame, every animation, it moves 1 pixel. So how long it takes to do an animation, it moves 1 pixel. That's very, very slow, by the way. It's going to produce a very slow effect. If I put that as 5 pixels, it would move much faster. But I put it at 1 pixel. And then I set the y direction at 2 pixels. So in other words, every time this bounces back, it moves it 2 pixels, and it goes back to it again, it moves it 2 more pixels. So it's moving 1 to the right and 2 down. And that's the way I have it set up in this program. And what happens is, the X direction and the Y direction, right here, see that thing right there? There's an X dir and there's a Y dir right here. Those guys are simply plus or minus 1, that's all they are. There's nothing else in there except the plus or minus 1. And the reason why is because you move in the extra, there's always 1 in there, pardon, sorry about that. The dy is the one that has, or did they change this? Let's see which one I changed before I say anything else here. I said X dir. X direction changes, it becomes negative. And I'm going to show you how that works. Let's start off with this first thing right here. What it says is location X, which is where the circle would be, is equal to X direction, X dir, which is 1, times dx, which is also in this case 1. So this is 1 times 1. So therefore what happens is you add this into here, and what that does is 1 times 1 is 1. It adds 1 to the location. So basically location X. So basically what it's saying is, in this particular run, this thing's going to go 1 pixel. That's all it's going to do is go 1 pixel, okay? Now, and then it says if the location of X minus 50 is less than or equal to 0, or the location of X plus 50 is greater than or equal to 500, what I'm saying is the location is the middle of the thing. What I'm saying is the ball moves to the left wall, and this is 50, it's got a 50 radius, and when it bounces into that wall, when that bounces into the ball right here, what I'm saying is if that's greater than, right here, if the X minus 50, which is the left-hand side over there, if I hit this wall, in other words, if I bounce and I hit this wall right here, is less than 0, going over the edge of the screen, that right there, then what I say to do, if that's happening, or if this is happening, I'm going over the right edge, I'm saying, am I going over the left edge, or am I going over the right edge? If either one of those is true, we have to fix this thing, and what we do is, we take whatever X dir is, and we make it negative. So what you're simply doing is saying, if I go too far this way, the X bounces off this wall right here, turn it to negative, and then the thing will stop because of that multiplication right there. It'll start moving in a negative direction. And the same thing if it's over here. If it gets down here, it's moving negative. If you multiply by, if you make the negative double negative, it becomes positive and starts moving in this direction. So in other words, what this thing does right here, that thing right there, it reverses the direction of the ball in the X direction. If it's going plus, it'll change it to minus. If it's going minus, it changes it to plus. And it only does it when it bumps into one of these walls here. When it hits the left wall or it hits the right wall, which one is 0 and the other one's 500, because that's how big the thing is. And in the Y direction, you do the same thing. You say if the thing gets down here and it hits 500, reverse its direction. If it hits the top of the box, it's at 0, reverse its direction. And it does the same thing. It has the same test right here. If it's this, less than 0 or greater than 500, then reverse the direction. And at the same time, by the way, I just go pop, make a little popping noise. That's all you do is that. And then what you do is draw the circle. At that point, now that you know where it is, you simply draw it. So you draw a circle at location X, location Y, and then the radius. Those are the 3 pieces of information you need. This is another one that's not on that list, because I just had to write it last night. So that's not on the list. But this one right here I'm going to add to the list also. So you can draw a circle in your programs by simply telling the X and Y of the center and the radius of the thing. It'll draw the circle on your canvas, okay? So that'll work. And that's it. That's pretty much what it is. The hard part is this right here, is getting used to what you're seeing here. Because you've got a circle, and it's bouncing off this wall, and you have to know exactly when it hits the wall. Well, it doesn't wait for the center to hit the wall. It has to, when the left edge hits the wall. So therefore, you have this minus 50. You say if it's this location, minus 50 hits that wall, then we've bumped into the wall. Or if this location plus 50, because you're in the middle of the circle, and the circle's over here, if that bumps into the wall, then you've hit the wall, reverse the direction. And that's it. That's what this program does, okay? I've done a lot of talking about it. I haven't heard it from you guys, so I assume that you're either falling asleep or, or it's okay. Okay. If you have any trouble with any of these, let me know. Okay. Next program, let's do the next one here, is It's a tic-tac-toe game. Let me put that up. Now, the tic-tac-toe game, we're not going to be able to talk about this in class because it's got a lot of stuff to it. But every single thing I'm doing in it, you've seen before. It's only a matter of putting it together and make the thing do what you want it to do. That's all I'm doing. So I'll call it, I call it tick, I believe. And there it is. Black 12, white 15. See the white circle there? Black 13. See how it works? You just simply say, and you can say it in different ways. So you can say 13 white. You can say the words in different ways. And what it does is it just fills in these blanks. Or you can say erase. Oh, erase, erase, erase. Simon says erase. doesn't listen to me. It's lost me. Okay. At home, by the way, this goes on and on. I don't know. The university something. Don't trust the university computer department thing. I don't know. Anyway, so there you go. That's how that one works. And now the next program I'm going to open up in Firefox. This is the first. Well, I'm leaving that tick program for your own. You can take a look at it, see what you think of it. But I think I might discuss it on a little online thing because it's so intricate. I might have to do some, a little short thing online about it. But let's. This one here is called ICU. Anybody has a room here? .ht. Oh wait a minute. That's .works. Sorry about that. .works. Come on. There it is. It's ICU.html. Let's use the word. See it's right here. You say let's say hello. So if I'm going to connect device. Okay. Okay, that's me, believe it or not. Oh, I don't know why it's so bad. Not only bad, it's awful. But anyway, anybody else connect? Just all you got to do is put icu.html after .works.com, and you should be able to see. Anyone else in the room will be able to see them come up on the screen. You got to type hello in the interconnect expression. The only thing that could cause a problem here would be the UAF's, system here, because it works right at home. I tried it with several of my friends across the country, and everything works fine. Anybody want to try it? Anybody connected? You got to say hello for the expression, though. Did you try it?
Yeah.
Did it connect? You in Firefox?
I'm in Chrome. I don't have Firefox.
You don't have Firefox? Okay. I'm not sure what the Macintosh browser guys have, what their rule is on it. Firefox is the only one so far that I've seen that actually allows it to be broken. Otherwise, you have to have a secure socket to do it, and that's just not feasible. Anybody here running Firefox? No? Well, anyway, what you'll see, if you run Firefox, what you'll see is there'll be another screen comes underneath it. And if you have a third one, I think it sort of banks them up somehow and keeps them out of each other's way so you can actually see all the different people that are on. And you can hear each other. Which can be disconcerting, by the way, if the speaker and your microphone are looping. So you have to kind of turn down the microphone or turn down the speaker, I think is the best way. Keep the microphone powerful. Turn down the speaker, and then you can actually talk to the thing. A lot of people use headphones, of course. That's the safest way. But feedback is a big pain in the butt with this thing. It doesn't have any control over feedback at all. I understand that some programs do have, and they do it various ways, but you guys up at home can see this thing. This is what's going on here. Basically, yeah. And what happens when you run the program? Let's take a look at the program itself, since we're not doing very well with the operation of it. looks like. Can you read it okay? Is it readable? Here's how this program works. Firefox is out of date, and that could be the reason why mine's still working. Maybe if I get a new one, maybe it'll follow the rules and I'll be in trouble. But here's the idea. You have two includes right here. This include right here is actually from a company, the company I mentioned before, which is, I think it's peerjs.com, something like that. So that one, peerjs.com is a company that will give you that if you want it. What I did was it had their address on it. I simply took it, put it in a JS file, and put it in my site. And this right here, I built this one. This is one of these things I built to try to keep a little of the irritating stuff out of your way. I put that aside. So now you get it down to a simple program. And what it does is you have what you saw on the screen. It says to your interconnect expression. Then it has a place for you to type stuff in. Type in the magic word that you want to use to connect. And then what it does is it has this button over here, which that goes to startup code.value. I'm sending the startup. I'm sending the code that you just typed in to startup, and that's up in, as I say, that's up in the get started area. So you're going to see that up there. And what will happen then is once you do that, your video right here will appear on the screen where it did, where you saw it. When you connect to somebody else, this thing down here, this div ID, actually is where they put their, you got it, it worked.
It works.
Good for you. And so in other words, what happens is it works on the phone too, that's really nice.
I had to download Firefox, but it works.
Good. So, and it's free of course, so that's nice about it. What are you browser using on that?
I downloaded Firefox and it worked on
Oh,
that.
did you? Good.
Yeah, it didn't work on the browser that the phone came with.
It came with it, yeah. That's the problem I had with I tried it with my phone too, and it didn't work.
Yeah, I just downloaded the Firefox app and it works fine.
You know, I'm a little nervous about whether Chrome did that as a financial decision or as a really some kind of moral. I don't know why they did it. I'm not sure. I mean, hackers can penetrate your webcams whether you use them or not, and your microphones whether you use them or not. They're very, very good at that stuff. So the idea of them intercepting simple transmissions, I don't see it very. It's such a big. I mean, it confounds everything. See how bad it is. You guys, none of you can do it unless you have Firefox. And it's something, especially when the coding is really written by the general group, all the browser people. Anyway, so there it is. And what I did here is I set the height at 300 of my own video. So it's 300. So you know it's 4 to 3. So it's going to be 400 by 300. So your own video is going to be that size. The other one. They set that one up in their program. I believe if you go to their site, there's some instruction they can give you to control all of that stuff. This web page right here, from body on down, is actually totally under your control. It isn't like I say, any of the programs like Talkie.io or something where you're stuck doing just what they want to do. You can put anything anywhere you want. And you can add things to it or whatever you want to do. You can tell people to get lost, click them out, or do whatever you want. But that's the basic program. That's what it basically looks like. It's kind of simple. As I say, it's a freebie. All you have to do is download these two guys to your machine and stick with Firefox, and you got it pretty much. And that's it. That's pretty much what I wanted to show you today. There is a way that the webcam and video work with Canvas. Okay, you can do that. What I'm trying to do is, I have a couple of programs I wrote last year. I'm trying to see if I can find them because they had a good example of how to do it, and they would show you how to get these two guys to operate together. It isn't a big deal, but without writing a lot more code is the big deal part. I want to get it so that you can just do what we do in this sort of thing. You just say, put in Canvas, put in a video, and they lock together automatically. That would be much easier for you to do. Anyway, that's it pretty much. Unless you have any questions, I'll be here. It's kind of sitting off the wall. I'll leave that on the screen. But I do get some water. Lately I've been dehydrated unbelievably.